For centuries, Dutch ovens or black iron pots have been the main cooking utensils in kitchens throughout the world. Cast iron pots were brought to America over 350 years ago by the first settlers. As explorers went out into the wilderness, Dutch ovens were the main cooking utensil of the camp. In the early 1800s, it was Napoleon who first had the idea to put rims around the black iron pots to help keep the coals on top and provide better cooking. A well-seasoned Dutch oven was the prized possession of the mountain man as he went on his trapping expeditions. And when he went to the rendezvous to trade furs, Dutch ovens were found in every camp. Dutch oven cooking has its roots deep in American history. Pioneers wouldn't leave home without them. And no cattle drive would ever have been complete without several Dutch ovens for cooking the evening meals. A good cook could make anything from stews to pies to sourdough bread in his Dutch ovens. Today, many people are rediscovering the versatility and use of Dutch ovens as they head into the outdoors to camp with their families or go hunting with their buddies. Nothing makes camping more enjoyable than eating well. This presentation is designed to assist you in your efforts to enjoy Dutch oven cooking. Whether you're a novice or an old pro, this tape will help you with pointers to increase your skills, prolong the life of your equipment, and impress your friends. First of all, it's necessary to choose the right Dutch oven for you and your circumstances. There are a variety of Dutch ovens to choose from, ranging in size from small personal models to large group size ovens. Commercially, ovens range from as small as 8 inches to as large as 22 inches, but the most popular size is the 12-inch Dutch oven. However, you may find that as your skills and knowledge increase and you start cooking for more people, your needs will change, and you may need a larger Dutch oven. Dutch ovens come with varying characteristics. Probably the most noticeable is whether or not it has legs on the bottom and whether or not it has a round lid or a flat one. If an oven is going to be used mainly at home, then one without legs would be more desirable. However, if you're going to use the Dutch oven outdoors, it's suggested that you use an oven which has small legs on the bottom. This gives you the ability to stack ovens on top of each other, thus saving space and conserving fuel for cooking. Also, if you're going to use the Dutch oven outdoors, your oven should have a flat lid with a lip around the outside. This helps in stacking the ovens and containing the coals on top. When you buy an oven, make sure the lid has a tight fit on the lower part of the oven. Since Dutch ovens come in varying depths, we suggest you select an oven that's versatile enough that it can be used to prepare various dishes. To make Dutch oven cooking easier and more enjoyable, various tools are available for use either at home or in the outdoors. The most convenient tool is a lifter, which allows the cook to lift the lid to check the food, and also to lift the oven off the coals and move it to the serving area. Just as there are many styles of ovens, there are many styles of lifters. Choose one that'll work best with your oven. A pair of long tongs and a small shovel are also very helpful when moving coals from one place to another, especially when the ovens are stacked. A good pair of leather gloves is recommended to protect your hands, and a whisk broom is helpful for sweeping off the coals and ashes. It's possible to clean the oven enough to be able to serve food directly from it. Check with your Dutch oven retailer for these and other helpful tools they may suggest. One of the most important keys to enjoying your new Dutch oven and assuring it lasts for years and years is to properly prepare or season your oven. By properly seasoning your Dutch oven, you'll prevent it from rusting. Also, this seasoning will fill the small rough areas in the surface, which will help prevent food from sticking, and therefore make the Dutch oven easier to clean. Most Dutch ovens come from the factory with a protective coating to prevent rusting in transit at storage. This protective coating must be removed prior to seasoning your oven. The easiest way to do this is to scrub the oven with a mild detergent and warm water. After this initial washing, this should be the last time you will use soap or detergent on your oven. To season the oven, a light coating of vegetable oil or shortening should be wiped on all surfaces of the oven and lid and then heated. Do not use butter or margarine. Manufacturers differ on recommended baking temperatures and times, but most experts suggest the best way to season a Dutch oven is to bake it in a home oven for 6 hours at 200 degrees. Every 2 hours, the Dutch oven should be recoated with additional oil. When this process is done, your Dutch oven will look like it has a waxy yellow finish. With continued use, the seasoning will darken to a black coating, which will enhance the flavor of the food cooked in your Dutch oven. If for some reason your Dutch oven ever loses its seasoning due to rust or improper care, you can brush off the rust or grime and then re-season the oven in the manner just described. The hardest part of cooking with a Dutch oven is controlling the heat. Too much heat, and your food will burn and stick. Too little heat, and your food will not cook properly. There are several ways to heat your Dutch oven. These include coals from a campfire, a conventional oven in your home, charcoal briquettes, and a gas barbecue. When cooking outdoors, charcoal briquettes are recommended. Briquettes provide a long-lasting, even heat source. To eliminate the need for lighter fluid, there are various other methods of starting the charcoal. One method that can take 1/3 the time of conventional methods involves using a charcoal starter made from a 5-gallon can with a hole cut out of the side and a wire grate placed in the center of the can. Or one can be bought from your local Dutch oven dealer. By varying the number of briquettes placed underneath and on the lid of the Dutch oven, the temperature inside the oven can be accurately controlled. Here's an easy formula to keep in mind to help you control the cooking temperature. First, determine the diameter of your Dutch oven in inches. Here we're using a standard 12-inch size. Testing has shown that if you put 2 briquettes less than the oven size under the oven and 2 briquettes more than the oven size on the lid, the temperature inside will be approximately 325 degrees Fahrenheit. For example, if you have a 12-inch oven, you should place 10 briquettes underneath it and 14 briquettes on top. The temperature should soon be about 325 degrees inside. For every pair of briquettes added to the top and the bottom of the oven, you'll raise the temperature in the oven by 25 degrees. This formula is a good rule of thumb under typical conditions. However, there are other factors to keep in mind when assuring a proper cooking temperature. A strong breeze or wind will raise the temperature. High humidity in the air will lower the temperature. Direct sunlight will increase the temperature. Shade will lower the temperature. A higher air temperature will likewise raise the temperature in the oven. And finally, a higher altitude will lower the temperature. Besides getting the correct temperature, many recipes require that you also have correct heat placement. For example, stews, soups, chili, and other liquid dishes require more heat on the bottom than on the top. Meats, poultry, potatoes, beans, and vegetables require even distribution of heat on the top and bottom. But cobblers, cakes, breads, biscuits, and cookies require most of the heat on top and little heat on the bottom. Stacking of Dutch ovens is a convenient way of saving space and sharing heat. This is best used for dishes that require even heating. Many people feel that the use of Dutch ovens is limited to camping in the outdoors. However, Dutch oven cooking can be successfully done in and around the home. This is an excellent time to experiment with new recipes. Dutch ovens can be heated in conventional ovens or barbecues. Or by placing a garbage can lid or any other flat metal on concrete, you can cook almost anywhere. Let's take a closer look at some of Dutch oven cooking's greatest recipes.
My name is Rich Murphy, and we're going to make cream soda biscuits today. I'll add my flour into my mixing bowl. The old days, they'd have just added the flour or their mix right into the flour sack, so we're going to pretend like that's a flour sack. I add approximately half a cup of oil to 1 can of soda pop. I'm using cream soda. Red cream soda works, or anything else, just plain soda cream soda. This will make enough biscuits to do a number 12 Dutch oven. Part of the trick in making good Dutch oven biscuits this way, or biscuits this way, is to slowly add your flour to the moisture. You only want enough flour to cause it to become dry like your biscuits would normally. So I'm just adding a little bit at a time. Stir those in. Now this recipe can be used not only for biscuits, it could be used for scones, it can be used for bread, like breadsticks. In fact, we use this same style of mixing if we use sourdough. Just adding, and by the way, I'm using self-rising flour so that it has all the ingredients mixed in it that I need. Now you just roll that flour in a little at a time. The least amount of flour you use, the lighter your biscuits will be. You want to just roll in enough that it doesn't stick to your fingers, indicating that you've absorbed all the moisture that dough's going to. Once you've reached that point, I've got a little plastic sheet that the Tupperware folks makes this real handy for these temporary tables when you're out in the wilderness or at home, wherever you want. Put a little flour on my hands. They don't stick. Just need that sufficiently to get your dough all mixed together there. Roll it out. You don't have to have it perfectly smooth. You see a little bit of a layered effect there, and that just makes your biscuits nice and flaky like. The thickness, roll it out to the thickness that you like. I like mine about 3/4 of an inch thick. Use your biscuit cutter, cut them out. I'm using a commercial one here. You can use like a Campbell's soup can. Clean the edge up on it and poke some holes in the other end so that the air will pass out of it as you're cutting your biscuits. That way you don't, if you lose it, you don't lose a real good one, and they'll still make enough biscuits up for everybody to enjoy. Again, sourdough works the same way, or any of your other favorite bread doughs. Now I've preheated my oven. I'll set the lid off. Add some oil to my Dutch oven. To make those biscuits nice and golden brown on top as well as on the bottom, you can dip them in and then oil both sides. We'll let these sit for about 15-20 minutes where they're nice and warm, and they'll raise up a little more, or if you wanted, you could even start with a cold oven. Just set it on the coals, and as it begins to warm, it heats your biscuits and they raise. And there we've got, we'll make one for the little guy. Put my lid on. Like all Dutch oven baking, you want the concentrated heat on the top, not on the bottom. Spread my coals out. Check them in about 10 minutes to make sure my heat's not too hot on the top or bottom. And we'll have biscuits in about 20 to 25 minutes. Alrighty, I've checked the biscuits once. They were just about done. Let's check them and see how we are. Oh, I think are just like Mother'd like. Nice golden brown. Now those are going to be hot, so be careful when you lift them out of there. There we go. Ready for the butter and the orange marmalade.
Hi, my name's Gene Loveridge, and we're here on my back patio to show you how to do a Dutch oven dessert. It's called Raspberry Delight. We're not in the great outdoors or up in the mountains, we're just back here making it so that we can use our Dutch ovens where we're usually at, and that's home. To start with, we need to put some oil, a little oil in the bottom. So we just lightly coat the bottom of the Dutch oven with a little bit of oil. That just helps it so that things won't stick as much, and if you've recently used your Dutch oven, you may not even have to do that. But just to make sure it helps so it doesn't stick, I'll do that. I'm using two 21-ounce cans of raspberry filling. And we just dump them in. And spread them around with the top of the lid. Get it evenly distributed throughout the Dutch oven. Next, we just take a cake mix. I'm using a white cake mix, but if you like apples or cherries or something different than raspberries, you can use whatever you'd like. Take the cake mix and pour it on top. Spread it around a little bit. Then take a 12-ounce can of 7-Up and just pour it on top. And then what I like to do is I take the top of the can and just mix up the cake mix with the 7-Up just a little bit. Gives it a little smoother texture. Some like it rough and some don't. Now if you wanted to, you could take a little Jell-O mix and pour on top. Makes a glaze on it, but I'm not going to do that today. After we've got that done, we take the lid, put it on, and like I said, I'm on my back porch or back patio, and so I've got an old 55-gallon drum lid that I use here, and I'll use that to put the briquettes on so that I don't destroy the cement. Now, because this is a dessert, we're going to do most of our cooking from the bottom down. So I'll place anywhere from 6 to 8 briquettes around the bottom of the Dutch oven. Put the Dutch oven on top, and then place briquettes around the outside. By putting most of the briquettes on the outside of the Dutch oven, it makes it so that the cooking is done from the top going down. It makes it also so that the fruit fillings that you put in don't burn and get as sticky and whatnot. You should use a total of about 24 briquettes, 6 on the bottom and then around the top. Usually we'll get that 350 degrees in the oven. We'll let this sit for 45 minutes. However, what we do is during the course of the cooking, we'll come along, check the dessert, and then we'll also rotate the Dutch oven quarter of a turn, making it so that if there happens to be a hot spot or a cold spot, that the dessert will cook up really nice and smooth all over. We'll come back and check this in about 30 to 40 minutes and go from there. Well, it's been about 45 minutes. Let's open it up and see what we've got. All right. Looks great. We've got some pie filling here. It was looking really good. Let's scoop out some and see what we've got. Now, I like it with raspberries. Of course, you can have anything you want. If you like cherries or apple or whatnot, or different cake mix, just go ahead and experiment with them. It's really good if you just take some Cool Whip, put it on top, and go to town. That's Raspberry Delight, my favorite.
Hi, I'm Richard Cowley. I'd like to show you one of my favorite recipes. We're going to use prepared dough that you can buy at any grocery store. We're going to have 3 loaves of bread cut out, and we're going to slice these into thirds here. And then this has been raised quite a little bit, but it's just about right to work with. What you want to do is put this into 3 equal portions here, and it's one of the simplest recipes I've been able to get my hands on. What we're going to be doing now is roll this out into strips like this, and we want to put these strips about the same size as this breadboard here that we have. After you get them somewhat near the length here, then we want to put a few sesame seeds on. Sesame seeds are one of the neatest things you can put on bread dishes, and you can put just a few on the board here and let that bread just kind of eat them up. As you can see that they gather that up really easily, and you do that with the whole breadstick there, and just lay that aside. And then you go to your next piece of bread here, and bring that out the same way. We'll pour a few more sesame seeds here, and roll them up into it. It's a really easy dish to make if you know how to braid. You have to braid these things after you get these all put together. This bread's working out really nice. It's just the right consistency, and these sesame seeds will be absorbed and gathered up in the oven. What I'd like to do here now is to take the lid off of this Dutch oven and set it just kind of right here, so we can get all of the strings of the bread all together here. And we'll just set that lid on it to kind of hold it so we can have our braid. And we'll just begin to braid this bread. The reason we're braiding this bread is because we want to pull it apart. Just a finger bread is what it's going to turn out in the oven. Finger bread is probably the best way to eat bread. I think it's turns out really great. Okay, now we got this bread all braided. We're going to place it in this oven that's kind of been tilted for your convenience. And so that you can see down in this oven, this oven doesn't have any legs, so that you can use it in your oven right at home. Normally that'd stay right flat, but it'll probably roll off on us. The next thing we do is take some prepared squeezed butter type stuff and put it right on top of this bread. Just a small amount, so that it'll brown up really nice. And then we go ahead, and as you notice here, we've got these all braided out. I'm going to save a little time here, and we'll just go ahead and put these other two in right on top of the other one, just like this. As you can see, it Try to keep it from on the outside, and then you can go ahead and put this squeezed butter on just the outside here. It does a wonderful job. There's various recipes on this bread too. If you don't like sesame seeds, you can put Parmesan cheese on it, and it works really well. If you don't like Parmesan cheese or sesame seeds, there's a jam. You can just put a jam right on there, and it'll make the best dessert you could probably cook in a Dutch oven, right there in your kitchen. You don't have to be outside with this recipe, or you can be outside. Just make sure that you don't put this many loaves in your outside oven. Just use 1 or 2 loaves at the most, and use the same formula and put it together just like this. Okay, now we'll just lay this back down flat, straighten it up a little bit here, then we'll put our lid on it. We'll let that sit and raise for about half hour, 20 minutes, and then come back and we'll do some cooking. Okay, let's see how well this turned out. Oh, lovely. It's right to the top. We'll put the lid right back on that. Take it over to the oven. We'll bake this at 350 degrees for 45 minutes. So we'll just see how well that turned out. Well, it's been about 45 minutes now. Let's see what we have. Oh, yeah, a little hot here. Smells good. Let's take this lid off. And oh yes, looks really great. Stump that out on this board so you can take a look at it. Oh, really nice. Put this oven over here. The way you serve this bread is just take it and pull it apart and just have a little piece to eat, like so. Really good. Fantastic.
Hi, I'm Dave Wells, and today I'm going to demonstrate 3 easy, simple potato recipes that you can use here in a standard 12-inch Dutch oven that can be done anywhere. I'm here at a park. We are going to use 3 easy recipes with things that you would normally use each and every day. The first that I'm going to demonstrate to you is a simple recipe that we will use bacon and onions, and we will start by browning those. We'll put some potatoes on them. We'll add some cheese a little bit later after the baking process. And so just to get started, we'll get started and we will put those right here in our oven, and we'll just let those get started. To show you just how simple each of these recipes are, all I have done here is I have simply diced up the onions, cut the bacon in small pieces, and put it in my oven. You'll notice that I've placed my oven on top of my briquette starter. As the briquettes warm up, we'll just let that sit right there and brown, and we'll get started with two of our other recipes. Over here, I've just taken some potatoes and I've sliced those and placed them in a pan of water. We'll just simply place those potatoes here in our oven. Get a nice batch of them in there. And then I've cut my potatoes just a little bit of a different way for my third recipe, and I've cubed them up, and I'll put these in here. Again, you'll notice that as we put them in there, we're not adding any additional moisture. Just put them here in the bottom. Okay, we'll come over here and we'll check on our bacon. Looks like it's cooking really nice, starting to cook around. Okay, now added to this oven here, we're going to eventually add potatoes to that. Add to this oven here, we're going to make an au gratin potato. And we're just going to take some sour cream and put that sour cream in small amounts over these potatoes. Here is one of the these are very convenient, these little paddles. They make it very nice to quickly get everything put into your recipe. Now, on top of this sour cream, we've grated some cheese. And we're going to add a little bit of grated cheese on top of this. And just cover these potatoes. Just like that. And that is all there is to it. We'll take this, put our lid on top, and the oven is ready to have the coals applied to it and ready to cook. Cooking time should take somewhere around an hour. Set that one aside. For this one here, to begin the cooking process, we're just going to take some mushroom soup, and add that to our potatoes. I like to, in this size of a recipe, use 2 cans. It makes it real soupy and gives a lot of flavor. You just kind of mix that in. Now in this particular recipe, we will not add the cheese until the very end of the cooking. Once again, that's all there is to it. We'll put our lid on it, and this one's ready to go. Okay, we come back here to our bacon, which is browning very nicely, starting to cook a little bit. We'll just let that continue to cook. While we were away, I went ahead and have placed coals on this oven, and as we have discussed earlier, we have stacked these ovens to conserve space. The heating that is required for this type of a recipe needs to be an even heat. We need to have an equal amount of heat on top as well as on bottom, and you'll notice that I have 14 briquettes on top, another 14 placed around on the bottom, so that you have a nice even heat that will heat directly from the top and from the bottom, evenly cooking the recipe. Also, by doing it this way, we have conserved space. We're stacking. We've started out with briquettes on the bottom and placed them on each level, and we will continue to stack this 3 high. We have got our bacon and our onions cooked now. Everything is browned, it looks really good, and we're ready to go. We're ready to place this on. And so I'll simply take this oven and I'll place it on top. And now I'm ready to add my potatoes right on top of the bacon and the onions and everything that's been cooked. And so I'll add that to it. One of the really neat things about a Dutch oven is its ability to evenly cook. You don't have to worry about mixing and things together. It just evenly cooks. We'll just place our potatoes on top like that. Now, before adding the lid, we'll just stir in our bacon and our onions just a little bit. There we are. We're ready to add the lid. And now again, we want even heat up on top, and so we're going to add the coals to the top. We'll just evenly space that around the lid. You can see how handy these tongs are for placing. Another handy tool is this shovel to take the briquettes right from your starter and to place them down on the lid. And then it's very easy to add additional heat as your coals die down to each of the layers of your stacked ovens. And they just slide in very nicely where you've got the legs there to hold them apart. And you can add heat wherever heat is necessary depending on how long it takes this recipe to cook. This particular recipe of potatoes each will take somewhere between 45 minutes and an hour. And so we're ready to go. We'll just keep an eye on the coals, and as they die down we'll add additional heat so we maintain uniform heat, and we'll continue to check our recipe and to make sure that our dinner's cooked and ready to go. Okay, it's been about 40 minutes and it's now, let's have a look, 45 minutes. Let's look and see how we're doing. Take this one off. Oh yeah, looks like this is all cooked and we're now ready to add the cheese. We'll add the cheese and then let's give it about 5 more minutes, let that cheese melt, and that'll be ready to eat. Okay, we'll put the lid back on. And we'll just simply set that oven to the side. And you'll notice it's not necessary for heat on the bottom. We've added our coals on the top. That heat will continue to go down and melt that cheese. Okay, let's see how our au gratin ones are looking. Look at that. That one looks like she's all ready to go. We can set that one aside and that one's ready to eat. Now what we'll do while we're waiting for everyone to get together, we don't want our potatoes to cool off. We'll leave just 3 or 4 coals on there to keep it warm while we wait for everybody to get together so we can eat. And we'll just set that oven right off to the side. Okay, we're ready for our last one. There we go. Again, that one looks really good. The only thing we need to do to that still is add the cheese, and again we'll let it melt and we'll be in business. Okay, it's time to eat. Let's see how we've done. There's our potatoes with onions and bacon. There's our potatoes in our soup with our mushroom sauce. And there's our au gratin potatoes. Looks good to me. We're ready to eat. As you can see, each of these recipes are very easy to do, whether you do them in the park, or in your backyard, or anywhere that's convenient for you to get together with family and friends and be able to have the fun of a Dutch oven.
Well, here we are again. I'm going to prepare one of my favorite dishes. I'm going to use a number 12 Dutch oven. We'll put this on these coals that have been prepared on this cooking stove. Use this cooking stove on the outdoors. It's a wonderful little instrument to have in your backyard. We'll preheat this just a little bit, and then what I'm going to do here is put about 3 pounds of diced pork in this Dutch oven. Then we'll brown it up. Oh yes, that's heated up right fast, isn't it? Okay, we'll stir that around with this. Get that all brown. Now it won't take long at all to do that. Have this pork. Pork's one of my favorite dishes to cook. mainly because of the flavor that you receive from pork. I'm a little partial to pork. With this recipe, you notice I didn't put any seasoning or anything in with this, because we'll be adding that seasoning just a little later on with some of the other ingredients that we'll be putting in this dish. Now you got this all browned and everything. We're going to add a sauce to this. Now this sauce can be bought at any store. All it is cream of mushroom soup, and it makes an excellent sauce for pork. Pork is a wonderful tasting dish, especially when you put this mushroom soup in with it. It seems to just complement each other something fierce. They just go hand in hand. We'll take that lid out of there and begin to rotate that around, and you can see that the juices are starting to flow up really good now. This is my favorite recipe. Of course, I don't think you'll find this recipe in any cookbook so far. I call it my little porky. And what we're going to do here now is let that simmer for about 45 minutes, just on a lower heat. Let's take that off the heat and put it on a little bit lower heat and simmer for 45 minutes. And then I prepared some coals right here so that it'll so we got enough heat on the bottom just so this starts to simmering all the way around. And we'll come back in about 45 minutes and we'll add some more ingredients to it. Okay, let's see how this is coming. It's been 45 minutes now and it's been simmering away. The reason we spend so much time just simmering the pork is to tenderize it. In a sauce, especially in a sauce, it just tenderizes it, makes it taste really wonderful. Okay, what we're going to do now is put about 1.5 pounds of mushrooms on top of this now. Spread them around. What we're going to be doing is putting a stuffing on top of that, and what I prefer is just to go to the grocery store and pick up a package of stovetop stuffing, and it's quick and easy. You follow directions on the box and it makes up into a real nice stuffing. There are other recipes for stuffing, but I enjoy this one. What we do, we'll place this stuffing on top of the mushrooms and the sauce. Just like this. And then we'll bake it for another 30 to 35 minutes. As you know, stuffing doesn't take a whole lot of time to bake. When we know that the mushrooms, they bake too long, you won't have very many of them. So that's the way it'll look right there, just before we put on the top coals. We'll put our lid back on. Then we'll put coals on top of the lid. We're going to be doing baking from the top down, basically here, and it's going to take about 14 to 18 of these coals to take care of the necessary heat requirement to finish baking this dish. It's It's one of my favorites. I've fed it to many people, and I know that you'll enjoy it just as much as I have enjoyed it. Let's take a look at what we have. It's been about a half hour. Oh yes, excellent. It's brown on top. You can see here where it's been bubbling up through. And now let's just take a little bit out to show you what that looks like. Oh yes, it's a real nice, tasty mushrooms and pork and dressing. Just a real tasty, it's awful rich dish. It's a beautiful dish. I wouldn't be ashamed to serve this to any of my friends.
Good morning. We've moved now up into the mountains, and I'd like to show you how to do a mountain man breakfast this morning. It's all-in-one. What we've done already, we've pre-cooked our sausage. I used 2 packages of 12-ounce sausage that you can buy in the store. Cooked it up and put my sausage over in the lid. We've taken a loaf of bread, taken all the crust off the bread, and you break it up. You do this after you've pre-cooked your sausage. You break it up, and then I've already broken these other bread up, and you just spread it in the bottom of the Dutch oven like this. Spread it out to where it's evenly distributed, and then I take 18 eggs. I've got the last 2 to put into the group here, and put them in, and then you put 1/3 of a cup of water in there, and what that does is it makes the eggs so that they are fluffy. After you put the water in, you stir it up, mix it all up. And then you pour it over your bread. Now you're hearing that sizzle, and that's because we've already preheated that when we cooked the sausage. Just soak all the bread with the eggs. Then you take about a ½ pound of cheese, spread the cheese around on the top. This could be grated or sliced or whatever is the easiest with what you had. We didn't have a grater up here, so we just used our hunting knives and broke it up and cut it up into these little slices, and you spread the cheese all the way around it. And as you do this, you try and get it somewhat consistently spread around so that it will melt evenly. Then you take your sausage mix, or you could use ham or whatever, and spread that out over the top. After you've put that on, you just spread it out on top, evenly distribute it, put the lid on, and again, we'll cook this mostly from the top. So I have already placed underneath the Dutch oven 10 coals, and we'll go and put another 14 on top, and that will give us our 350 degrees that we would like to have in here. Let's see, 1, 2. Let this cook for 30 to 40 minutes. Keep checking it as we go, and again, we'll want to rotate this every time we check it, so that if there's any hot spots or if it's a windy day and the wind's blowing at it, then we'll get an even consistency. We'll let that go for 30-40 minutes and see what it looks like when we're done. Well, it's been 35 minutes. Let's take a look at this and see what it looks like. Oh boy, that looks so good. This dish will serve, depending on how big and people are hungry, anywhere from 15 to 20 people. But when you get done, that's what you have. Good Mountain Man breakfast.
Now that the feast is over, it's time to clean up. Fortunately, you've used a Dutch oven which has been properly seasoned. Cleanup is a snap. The proper method of cleaning a Dutch oven is to first scrape out any large particles of food left in it. Next, place some water, but no soap or detergent, in the oven and reheat it by placing it on an open fire or some other heat source until the water's warm. Now simply scrape off any residual food. Wipe it dry, and then put a thin layer of vegetable oil or shortening on the inside of the Dutch oven. Wipe out any excess oil. Burning out your Dutch oven is not recommended, as this will require you to repeat the entire 2 to 6 hour seasoning process. Dutch ovens should be stored indoors with wadded paper towels or newspaper sticking out to allow air circulation inside and to absorb moisture. If the next time you go to use your Dutch oven you notice that the oil has become rancid, reheat the oven until the oil is liquefied and then wipe out any excess oil. Next, re-wipe with fresh vegetable oil or shortening. Now that you have the ABCs of Dutch oven cooking done, go out and have fun with your Dutch oven. Experiment with new recipes and find your family favorites. For further information on Dutch oven cooking and for help in obtaining additional equipment, tools, or recipes, please write to the ABCs of Dutch Oven Cooking, P.O. Box 1794, Orem, Utah 84059.